Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. So if you want to split that, you want to make a donation, that's more than fine.
You know how much I'll.
Wait, hold on. We're
We on you.
at the end.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay.
Killing me. I'm sorry, you're killing me, Smalls.
Okay, now we can come on unmuted if we're not already, or unmuted, we are muted. Okay, it's 6:16. Our meeting this evening, is, starting a little bit earlier, because we have an executive session. Mine is on, thank you, I can hear it working. We're starting our meeting a little bit early this evening because we have an executive session. So first I'll kick off our meeting and everyone would rise for the pledge of allegiance, please.
And to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Happy New Year. This is our first council meeting of 2025. We have 4 councilors present. Jeff Minahan is not going to be joining us this evening. He got stuck with some travel stuff. And I will go ahead and make a motion to go into executive session, subject to 1 MRSA 4056A personnel.
Second,
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Bill?
Aye.
John? Melissa?
aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. We're going to executive session to interview a member of the council. And play. And then we can just go on with feedback. Thank you. I will go ahead and make a motion to come out of executive session at 6:38 PM.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion in a second. All those in favor say aye. Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Melissa?
I,
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. All right, we are back in our normal council meeting. As I mentioned earlier, we have 4 councilors present. Jeff Minahan's not going to be joining us this evening. Our first order of business is approving the minutes from December 17th. Does anyone have any edits to the written up minutes for these before we take a motion? Anybody?
I just have one now I can't find it, of course. We made a motion to meet with, DeCarlo, next Tuesday to
Oh,
discuss
uh-huh.
and in the minutes, it gave the impression that we were meeting with the actual comprehensive committee, which hasn't been selected yet. And I had it highlighted and now my computer doesn't want to work. So I don't want. If anybody. Actually just with Carlo, so where was it?
Okay. With DeCarlo Brown to the comprehensive plan priorities. I think it's my understanding what the workshop is intended to be. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. You got that? Super. Okay, so I will go ahead and make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from December 17th, 2024 as amended.
Second,
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of adopting the meeting minutes, say aye. Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Melissa?
aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. And up next, we have the treasurer's warrants. We'll go ahead and make a motion to sign the treasurer's warrant dated January 9th, 2025, the amount of $1,394,671.20.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion on the warrants?
Yeah, I have one question.
Sure.
Assuming it's for the kids, but what is the Coyote Club Wilderness Education?
Yes, that's recreation for.
It's an after school program. Okay. I was just curious, it's a first, I've never seen it on there.
Yeah, you're asking me now, and I'm seeing the pamphlet in front of me, something with the schools and after school programs, like a wilderness, skills.
That's from, it's an after school program for rec. Fantastic, okay, thank you, again, never seen it before.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Any other discussion? All those in favor of signing the treasurer's warrant, say aye. Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Moving on to reports and presentations. Our only report presentation tonight is from the York River Stewardship Committee, to provide an update to us. I'm assuming that's you because you're the only face I don't recognize. Would you come join us, please?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Carl Honkanen. I live at 238 Witch Trot Road, and I am honored to be your representative on the York River Stewardship Committee. There is an alternate, Philip Brecky, who is also been appointed. He is out of town and may make it towards the end of this evening, but if not, I'm happy to carry on in his absence. But we've been doing some great work. So you have a presentation here, and if someone could advance the slides, I'd be happy to give you a brief update on what the York River Stewardship Committee has been doing.
Just trying to get everything all synced up with Zoom and stuff. Give us a moment.
Sure. My day job is a forester for the U.S. Forest Service, so I bring some applicable skills to this committee, and it's been great to see it evolve over the first year or so of its existence. Yeah, next when you're ready. So I guess I can look this way. The York River Stewardship is a partnership wild and scenic river, which means there's no land owned by the federal government. It's all privately owned parcels of land that are joining the river, so there's no federal ownership here. So as a partnership, the National Park Service provides financial and technical assistance to us in order to carry out our stewardship efforts. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of what those efforts have been since its inception. So in the spring of 2023, we had 4 communities are involved in this committee: South Berwick, York, Elliott, and Kittery. So there's 2+ members for each town on this committee. And we began meeting monthly on the 1st of July in 2023. So the summer of 23, we elected our officers, we established our bylaws and our rules of order, conflict of interest, etc. We have a fiscal agent, which is the Wells Reserve in Wells. They handle all of the finances for this program. National Park Service funds it, and I'll get into those numbers a little bit later. And we have an executive committee and an outreach and communications subcommittee. And we hired a part-time watershed program coordinator. Her name is Jennifer Hunter, and she was an excellent choice because she had been with the study committee once this process began, before it was congressionally designated. So she carried on in a part-time role in this position now. And we have a stewardship plan, which I may have given some of you copies of when I was initially appointed. If you ever need to look at it, you can check it on our website as well. Next slide, please. So I'm a voting member. Philip, as I mentioned, is an alternate. And the members of the committee are listed here. We have non-voting participants. The coordinator, which I just mentioned, is Jennifer Hunter. Our fiscal agent is Paul Dest, who works at the Wells Reserve. And we have National Park Service representation by Emma Lord and Jim McCartney. Next, please. We have a 5-year cooperative agreement between the National Park Service and the Wells Reserve. And you can see some of our revenue and expenditures listed here. I won't go into detail unless you have questions, but that explains the finances that we've received and how they've been expended since our inception. Next slide, please. We have a few special projects that we've undertaken thus far. One of them is a salt marsh restoration project in the town of York. We're looking at some preliminary designs to restore 132 acres along the York River and the Smelt Brook. We've got some experts from the Northeastern Wetlands Restoration. This is a consultant that's helping us design this restoration projects. And the goals here are to restore the hydrology of this section of marsh, stabilize the marsh, increase the resilience to sea level rise, which, as we have seen in previous storms in the last year or so, are somewhat unpredictable, and protect wildlife habitat, which this provides critical nursery area for many, many species of freshwater and saltwater life. We support the key priorities of the York River Stewardship Plan through this restoration work, and we have some regional partners, which include the Maine Coast Heritage Trust, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service through Rachel Carson Refuge, and the York Land Trust. Next, please. Another special project of ours is working with the Great Works Regional Land Trust on an easement purchase. This is still under a transaction, it has not been finalized yet, so I can't provide you any details until it's closed. But essentially, we're looking at purchasing 137-acre conservation easement along the York River to preserve agricultural use and increase the buffer protection of the river. We have funding to and collaboration from a number of other partners that I've already mentioned, the Maine Coast Heritage Trust, the Maine Farmland Trust, and the Great Works Regional Land Trust. They're all players in this and helping with the financing of this easement acquisition. And then again, it supports the key priorities of this stewardship plan. Next, please. We have a new grants program that we launched this year. This is using the National Park Service funding that we've received. And the idea of this is to support locally led projects across the York River watershed. We accepted proposals up to $10,000 per proposal, and they benefit one or more watershed communities. And we awarded $42,000 in special projects to 5 organizations. And I'll get into those projects subsequently. Next, please. Excuse me, the projects that we have awarded thus far, the York Parks and Recreation Department received $6,000 to purchase kayaks and host a series of free kayak tours for York residents along the York River. We have, the town of York has an ad hoc committee that's received $10,000 to look at a feasibility study to design a paddlecraft dock at Goodrich Park, right on the water there at the town-owned Goodrich Park. The York Land Trust received $10,000 to support a 42-acre expansion of the McIntyre Highlands Preserve, which is along Route 91. You may have visited that. Next, please. The York Conservation Commission received $6,000 for an educational program to educate their residents on friendly pesticide and fertilizer practices on their properties, which will protect water resources throughout the watershed. And then we awarded the town of Kittery and an organization called Save Kittery Waters $10,000 to support a Creek Smart outreach and education program, which promotes sustainable land use and restoration of vegetated river buffers. That place where the river meets the land is a critical buffer to protect it from water quality impacts. Next, please. Some outreach and communications products that we've done. We've completed our website, which is listed here, yorkrivermaine.org, and you can read a lot more detail into what I've presented this evening, as well as look at the comprehensive plan, which I referenced. We have some community partner events listed on that website, and we're looking at celebrating the grant awards, which I've just described. And we're hosting some learning opportunities related to the stewardship project. And we were actually featured on News Center Maine's 207 television program recently, and you can click on this link in the presentation to view that if you haven't seen it yet. Some things that are coming up, we're going to participate in the York Ad hoc River Access Committee. We have representation on that. We're developing some communication products to improve our website, which is somewhat primitive as we're starting out, but looking at improving our web presence and continuing our collaboration with all the partners, many of whom I've referenced already. Next, please. Again, our website is listed here, yorkrivermaine.org, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions you have on our work so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Carl. What do you all need from South Berwick? Besides just.
From the town council, not really anything, at this point. We're not fiscally tied to any town budgets. Again, all of this funding comes from the National Park Service, their Rivers and Trails program, so there's no financial obligation. Your support to me and to our alternate, Philip Brecky, is appreciated. Really don't need anything from the council other than I'd like to provide an annual update on what we've been doing, and I look forward to doing this in coming years.
Thank you so much for the update. I love hearing from a lot of the, projects like this and things happening in this area to just preserve the beautiful land that we already have. So thank you for coming, giving us an update. Does anyone have any questions or anything for Carl?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Probably allotted.
Yeah, we meet monthly and sometimes every other month in the colder months, but it's an active committee. There's a whole slew of folks who get some great work done and appreciate your support.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
I know it was York that had kind of done the kayak tours and stuff like that. Is there any way that South Berwick residents are able to go and attend those, or is that specific to?
Well, the first year when they started this, they wanted it to, keep it with York residents, which, given the ecological and geographical connection, I can understand that. And I made this same claim. I said, look, there's 4 towns in here. Why are you only allowing York residents to join? And their response was, we want to get this off the ground. We just purchased the kayaks. Let's get the bugs ironed out. And in subsequent years, now that we have the kayaks in hand and they're building the kayak launch, which will be open to anybody, we'll invite other residents to attend as well. So stay tuned for more on that. Mhm.
Great, thank you so much again. for coming.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to, public comment. Is there anyone here that'd like to speak about anything not on the agenda? Anyone on the phone? Okay, we'll move on. To unfinished business number 1, budget update. We have a schedule of budget workshops from Tim and Jen, beginning March 4th, starting essentially meeting every Tuesday and Thursday for a couple of weeks as needed, starting at 6:00 PM. Tim, is there anything you wanted to add or anything for this? I know this is just, for informational purposes.
Nope, just. Excuse me. Just the budget meetings are open to the public. Obviously, it's, an opportunity and time for us to inform you of what's happening with the budget and what we budgeted. Take my draft, get it to your level and have you approve it. So generally, though it's open to the public, we don't have comment. That shows up at the public hearing prior to the town council meeting. So we wanted to get this out there so that people are aware of it and realize that, you know, and long before we get to you, we have started the budget process within my office. And, you know, I've already met mostly the first round. This week will be with the department, all department heads. Then each week progressively after that, we come back and work on it. So by the time it gets to you folks, we've gone through a lot of meetings to get there. But this is just to give you that schedule so we can post it publicly. And if you're okay with that, unless there's something that you see that jumps out at you, then I'll ask you to approve the schedule.
The only thing that I see is that it's only 2 days between the first budget workshop and the second budget work. Is that how it worked last year?
Yeah, we very often, and maybe like last year it didn't work out this way, but Tuesday, Thursday.
We always did Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay.
But last year we had one budget workshop.
Yeah.
And you took the whole budget in its entirety, and then we brought you back, we skipped a week.
Okay,
Yeah,
And when it went, and that second week, we drafted the few changes you wanted. And the police chief came in and you voted on that budget, and that was it was done in 2 meetings.
okay.
so I'll just kind of summarize this for the public. So starting March 4th, it's a Tuesday, we're planning to have a budget workshop that evening at 6 PM. And then basically Tuesday, Thursday, for a couple of, so March 4th, March 6th, this is all included in the support docs as well. We'll have a regular council meeting, and then so this is an exercise where we plan time, assuming that we're going to need it, to hash through budget stuff. But as Tim mentioned, in the past, we've been able to get through this usually in 2 to 3 workshop days. So any concerns from anybody on the council, any big conflicts or anything?
So, Madam Chair, members of the council, the first budget meeting is an actual meeting, then the March 11th. And the March 25th and April 8th, those are cemented in stone. Everything else will be fluid would be up to you to decide whether you'll approve at the next meeting. You know, so the first budget meeting, you'll decide whether you want to do the second budget workshop review, whether we need it, so forth and so on. The ones that are cast in stone is obviously the first meeting, the March 11th council meeting, the March 8th, the March 8th, March 25th council meeting, and then the April 8th council meeting,
And then the May 20th town meeting.
town meeting on May 20th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so no motions or anything on this, just, for
Nope.
discussion. So we just discussed our schedule for workshops. And this is essentially all of the work that goes into what we ultimately present to the public on, which this year will be May 20th, the annual town meeting. So these workshops are all of the work that goes into what we ultimately present for that evening. Okay, we can move on to the next item, new committee updates.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
there is a printout on your
table, that did not make it into the packet, my apologies.
No worries, thank you. Okay, so we have received, just providing some context, in December, the town council voted to form 2 ad hoc committees, the first being the the first being the comprehensive plan committee, and the second being downtown revitalization. I'm questioning myself on that.
Well, you're right.
Okay, thank you. I was not sure. We voted to form 2 committees, and have since had, the applications open and available for people to apply for those, and it sounds like we've received 5 applications, for the downtown revitalization committee only. Okay. And so we essentially just kind of need to talk about, what do we want to do? Do we want to keep this open for a little bit? Or continue to schedule interviews with applicants? I will offer my opinion. I think that we should maybe leave this open for a couple more weeks, maybe put a plug on Facebook, on like the town Facebook page, and maybe the pop up in the corner on the website. I just feel like over the holidays is a weird time and might contribute to fewer applications. What do you think?
I recommend leave it on till the end of the month.
Okay,
We'll just keep re-advertising it, putting it out there.
okay,
Let's go to the end of the month at this point and then see what we got the first meeting in February.
okay.
That'd be my recommendation.
Anyone on council have any issues with that? Keeping it open?
So, I did have a resident reach out to me today, actually wondering how to apply, for the downtown revitalization committee. And, before I could respond to her, I wanted to go to the website and find the actual application to be able to send it to her. And I navigated the website for about 20 minutes and got frustrated because I couldn't find the application. And come to find out, all you have to do is in the how do I section, like search section, you literally type in apply for a committee. And that brings you to, so I'm concerned where we've only had 5 applicants, that maybe they had a little difficulty navigating to the actual spot of where to find the. So I don't know if we could do a little shortcut on either the downtown revitalization page
Point
or.
it right to the application form.
I can make a hyperlink to go into the application when it's clicked on, for in the application, and advertising, I can do that for you.
We'll tell people that in the Facebook page. But
We should
here,
just like include, like you can copy the link to the form directly into the paper.
Don't call us, we'll come in and get an application.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so it sounds like we have consensus. We're gonna keep it open through the end of the month. No motion on this. Okay, all right. So just for the minutes, the council has consensus that we're gonna keep both applications open for the rest of January at least. Okay, that takes care of unfinished business number 2. Moving on to new business number 1, filling a planning board vacant seat. Alternate. So we have, because we've been, able to have Bill join the town council, he left a vacancy on the planning board, a full seat. So this evening we interviewed Clay Curtis for the planning board. Additional piece of information is that we also have Mary Huzzy, who is, currently an alternate on the planning board with a term expiring June 30th, 2025. Mary has reached out to the council, or at least the council chair, the council vice chair, and has interest in being promoted to a full-time board member with Bill's vacancy. And so, we're kind of faced with both of those situations. And so I will go ahead and make a motion, to appoint Mary Huzzy to the full vacancy on the planning board with a term expiring June 30th, 2025. And appointing Clay Curtis to the planning board as an alternate with a term expiring June 30th, 2025. Yes,
Two different motions.
separate motions.
Yeah, it'll be separate.
Okay, so the first motion is just gonna be the first half of that. Make a motion to appoint Mary Huzzy to the full vacant seat on the planning board with a term expiring June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you for your patience. Next motion, I'll make a motion to appoint Clay Curtis to the planning board as an alternate with a term expiring June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Bill?
Aye.
John? Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you to both Mary and Clay for your willingness to serve on the planning board. So that gets us to a full planning board again, and I believe now we have a full planning board, full alternates. And the first planning board meeting, not the first, but the next planning board meeting will be tomorrow evening. And we actually were the council was questioning us, what time does the planning board meet? 6 o'clock? Anybody know? 6 o'clock, thank you. All right, we'll move on to new business number 2, Emery's Bridge, Hooper's Bridge update conclusion. Tim, what's the?
So earlier, right around the first of the year, the state came down and did an inspection of what they call Hooper's Bridge, which is nothing more than a large culvert in the ground, and they said it was collapsing. We've known about this, it's been on the state's radar, been on our radar for probably 3 or 4 years. We've been applying for a grant to fix it. Each year it got denied. It's about anywhere, it could be anywhere from $300,000 to $1 million to fix it. Jay's been applying and it's been getting turned down. And right around the end of the year, state showed up and for some reason did an inspection, said it's collapsing. They're gonna drop Emery's Bridge down to 3 tons unless we could shore it up. So Jay went out, got a hold of some bridge consultants. They came down, did a quick look at it, showed Jay possibility on what it would look like and how to do the work. That was about, gonna be about $8 grand plus some other additions to it, around 10,000 for total work. They began the process. And Jay got it done in 2 days or 3 days, which is why the road is closed. In the drawings, the civil consultant, or the civil engineer's report, when it was completed, they came down and passed it. You can see in the last page of the report, you can actually see what Jay did. They actually dug the road out, put in some steel support beams, a steel plate on top of that, and then buried that. And then put pavement over that. So the engineers have passed it, turned it back around, said, you're good for at least 2 years of full completion, won't collapse, will hold the weight. Then we begin the process of applying for the grant again to get a repair fully vetted out, taking that out and redone. In the meantime, the repairs will hold us for 2 to 3 years. That's it.
Great, thank you.
And I just wanna thank Jay and the crew. They worked diligently hard in cold weather to get this done. We're there to crack of dawn and worked all through the day and made sure that they could get everything done, and we had to get special equipment to heat the pavement, to put the pavement in, and so they, compliments and public works crew, they did a good job.
Yes, thank you, Public Works. That was kind of a surprise project, right? Totally unplanned that they scrambled.
We didn't think so,
Yeah.
we didn't know it was.
Great, thank you, Tim. And no action from us, that's just information.
Correct.
Great. Moving on to new business number 3, Spirit of America Foundation Tribute Award winner. So every year the council were asked to nominate a local person, project, or group to receive the 2025 Spirit of America Foundation Tribute for outstanding community service. And this information was sent to us every year, but was sent to us at the end of 2024. And we have to submit submissions and before the end of June. And this would be submissions for the 2024 Spirit of. Sorry, they're looking for the 2024 winner, correct?
Yeah.
At this point, or is it now 2025? We've already selected the 2020, yes, okay, thank you, I forget, we already selected the 2024 winner, we do the whole ceremony thing.
We're like a year behind.
Yes, there's a
We're
lag,
awarded
there's a funny lag.
To the recipient.
Thank you. Okay, so essentially this, item on the agenda is essentially just kind of a reminder to the council that we need to think about, nominees for the Spirit of America Award for 2025. We have about just short of 6 months.
Well,
Yes.
so in the town manager's recommendation, it looks like the town is looking for a recipient by April. even, but we don't have to submit it to the actual Spirit of America website until June 30th. So I don't know if that was,
Well, we have to go through the notification process, make sure they're gonna accept it,
okay,
and then, once they know that, then you formally vote on it in May,
got it,
then we send it to them by June.
okay, so I misspoke, so we don't have just short 6 months, we have just
Well, 2 or 3.
2 or 3 months to come up with, local person, project, or group to nominate, so, keep that in mind. And, to the public, if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to reach out to us, with ideas or, nomination suggestions for that, that would be great. Okay, no, action that we need to take there for this evening, so I'll move on to number 4. Establishing submission deadline schedule for the planning board. Tim, can you just kind of set this up for us? I know this is very small
Sure.
conversation.
So, this comes from the town planner, Kyle Brown, to the planning board. One of the things they looked at when he first got here, there was a very short window of time to submit, applications and the process of applications to the planning board. So in discussion with the planning board, they came up with a rule to change of how they wanted to do that. You see in the letter that Kyle wrote to you. It's gone through the planning board, they approved it. So in the ordinance, 121-28 submissions, says 10 copies of the sketch plan will be submitted to the planning board according to a submission schedule set by the town, and then on 121-32, says the applicant shall submit 10 copies of a preliminary plan to the planning board according to the submission schedule set by the town. So the question was to Phil Saucy, town's legal counsel, who is the code referencing when it says the town, and it's you. So it's a policy, this is a policy, it's not an ordinance change, so it doesn't have to go through all the steps of public hearings and all that stuff. All you've gotta do is vote to create an executive policy that once you pass this, I'll draw it up and have you sign it. It just, we put in a book that says this. It'll be, 28 days prior to any meeting. The order of application is to be considered, and additional submission materials, minor in nature, may be submitted 14 days prior to any meeting, and that gives the Kyle Code and everybody else a chance to review application. Tell the applicants what they need to get stuff back, get organized before. I think before was it 10 days?
Yeah.
10 days, yeah, it just wasn't enough time, so. And this is just an executive policy, you just have to make the motion and approve it, and then I'll draw the policy up and have you sign it at the next meeting.
Okay, so this evening, the action we need to take is essentially to approve the town manager, to draft the policy.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, approve this, yeah, this verbiage right here. To approve the number 1 and number 2 on the back page of that.
Okay,
That you're authorizing a motion change, a policy development. Number 1 and number 2, exactly how that says.
okay, sorry, I'm just struggling to make sure I get the motion. So I'm making a motion to approve,
To create an executive policy,
to create an executive policy.
and then read number 1 and number 2, so it'll say those 2 things.
Okay, I'm making a motion to, create an executive policy, specifically for the, planning board submission schedule that includes an initial submission deadline of 28 days prior to any meeting in which the application is to be considered, and also an additional, and also any additional submission materials, minor in nature, may be submitted 14 days prior to any meeting in which the application is to be considered at the discretion of staff. Can I get a second?
Second,
Thank you, we have a motion and a second. Can I check in on that motion? How do we feel about that? Was that good? Okay. Any discussion or anyone have any questions for Tim? I know Carl has kind of briefed us on this a little bit at our last meeting. Any questions? I mean, the gist of this is essentially we're just building in more time to make sure that there's enough time for things to be reviewed and amply prepared for the.
Right, we've had several applicants who come in, and obviously their stuff's incomplete because they didn't know. And 10 days was enough time to turn them around, have them come back, so now they missed the planning board meeting and they're upset. So in reality, Kyle looked at it and gave us these dates. I think this will be better for serving our customers.
Agreed, thank you. Any other questions or discussions? All those in favor, say aye. Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Okay, and new business number 5, scheduling a public hearing for acceptance of Meadow Pond Road Phase 2 as a town road. I know, Tim included, a letter in our sport docs, but Tim, if you could just,
So I've
also choose one too.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've included everything in the packet that you'll need. The only reason we normally don't do public hearings for town roads acceptance. However, this is tied to Sandville Estates 1 and 2 and 3. Or Meadow Pond subdivisions, phase 2 and 3. And as you know, some of that's tied up in court right now in the court case that we're involved in. Not relative to this, but through the history of this, you can't attach a development road to a non-town road, so it came to our understanding that everybody thought that in 2007, Meadow Pond Phase 2 was adopted, and looking through all the documents, planning board, council minutes, we researched it, Diane researched it, Barbara researched, Jay researched it, we couldn't find a formal vote. So the conclusion is, we don't think it was ever accepted, it was talked about, so this is just, so to speak, a formality. However, in talking to legal counsel where this has been involved in part of the decision-making process for Meadow Pond 3, they felt it best that you hold a public hearing before you vote on it. Next meeting, just a quick. Because it was somewhat controversial on doing this, to understand that we've been maintaining this road for the last 15 to 20 years.
Road's in great shape.
So the road, we stopped that this year because that's against the law. We cannot use taxpayer dollars to plow our private roads. Where we could not confirm anything, the lawyer said, don't do that, stop that. But okay, so right now they've hired somebody to plow what makes up 7 lots on that. So this is kind of formality. The construction has presented all this stuff to us. We can't find any of the paperwork, unfortunately. I'd like to tell you, it's supposed to be here, we don't know where. But with everything being moved around, we looked for all the plans, but the road is, Council James says, the road's in great shape, Jay supports it. They've been plowing it for years, there's nothing wrong with it, but. So, lawyers recommended just a quick public hearing, the next meeting, and then take an action. That's all, so just schedule a public hearing.
So if we vote to accept this as the town road, as of that vote, there's no time frame. That's back to us, we'll go back to maintaining it, correct? Okay, good. And the less time we have a private contractor on it, the better.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
This is really more for us, for a formality that I found I couldn't find anything. Just like a lot of other, I couldn't find any formal votes, so we just gotta tidy this up.
Okay. All right, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to schedule a public hearing for the acceptance of Meadow Pond Road Phase 2 as a town road, scheduling that for January 28th at 6:30 p.m. 3rd floor of Town Hall. We'll do that ahead of our council meeting, at the beginning of our regular council meeting.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. That's all of our business. Tim?
I gave you a copy of my manager notes, they're right in front of you, so you have them. So you can follow along if you'd like. Basically, the temporary bridge over, on Emery's Bridge was fixed. We've used 634 tons of salt so far this year, and Public Works built the ice rink on the basketball court. Police departments had 1 arrest, 4 accidents, 180 traffic stops. Calls for service last year was 9,266 total police calls, which is up 3,000 calls, and 2,083 traffic stops in 2024. The new drone that you authorized has been activated several times for other agencies with successful flights. Fire department has had 19 calls in the last 2 weeks, 435 calls for service in 2024. They've logged 9,159 personnel hours for both training and responses and operations. On January 11th at 5:53 AM, they were dispatched, fire department was dispatched on Ice Pond Road for an ice water rescue. Lieutenant Brad Gorman and firefighter Cam McLean were the first to arrive and use the rope to pull a man from the frigid water where he'd been for almost 45 minutes until someone had heard him yelling. The firefighter moved the man to the ambulance, who was transported to the hospital and came out okay. It was very close, 45 minutes in cold frigid water. John can attest to this personally. You're at the very end, you're very close.
Oh, good.
Had they not got there, when they did, he was losing grasp of the ice. He said that, he said, I didn't have any more strength to hold on to his minutes. And he said, if you not got there and thrown me the rope when you did, he said, I probably would have got out.
Like,
So,
who called 911?
and,
The people in the camps, the people in the houses that are right there.
Yeah,
yeah, somebody was going out to go to work and they heard him screaming. So apparently, Council James advised them that's not the proper way to get on that lake.
There is one spot on Knights Pond, there's a few on Knights Pond, but you gotta know where you are on Knights Pond. It's safe as long as you know where the springs are.
So kudos to the fire department and to those two.
It's fantastic for those two.
They used their initiative. They were certified ice water rescue, so they used the training they had, which is reach, throw, and go. They couldn't reach him, so they threw him a rope while waiting for the the fire department to get there with water suits. And it worked, and they pulled him out and saved his life, so. At some point later on, we'll be recognizing them. Code enforcement, 3 building permits, 2 plumbing permits, 12 inspections, 3 violations. And Jenny has taken her code enforcement recertification and been recertified for the next 6 years. For planning and economic development, 1 application for site review. Conservation Commission is currently providing comments on the open space plan draft for them, for us and the see. Finalizing the draft presented to the town. The department has started outreach to all businesses within the downtown district to ensure we have accurate contact information, which we use to create an open dialogue between economic development department and local services. The transfer station, we installed a new cardboard compactor. And we do not accept hot ash. Someone left a hot bucket of ash at the transfer station and took us a couple days to dig it out, because they dumped it in the ash pile. And we don't have, they left it, it's gonna create a fire, so we don't take hot ash. Just let everybody know. Library had 1,780 visitors, 21 programs scheduled, 196 attendees, 92 computer users. 1,753 books checked out, 272 borrowed books, and 127 lent books. January 15th, January 22nd, from 5:30 to 6:30 will be a special evening celebrating the South Berwick Writers Group. Each night will feature different group members and genres. The recreation new winter session for after school enrichment program, as well as adult program started up last week. The lift inspection went well at Potter House. We're just waiting for the license, which I think we got today. The ice rink is up, and the lighting will be on until 7:30 PM. And we did go over and adjust that light and turn them down so they're not shining in some of the neighbors' houses they were complaining. Seniors this week, North River Music is coming for lunch and entertainment. Assessing townwide evaluation. Emerson is finishing up on the rest of the residential properties this week. We'll be coming back down to visit commercial properties. Commercial properties will get a mailing. The rent expense questionnaires and match. A turnaround document has been submitted to the state. This reports sales that have occurred between July 1st, 2023 and July 1st, 2024. The ratios compare the 2025, 24 assessed value to the sale price. There were 92 qualified sales and the median ratio was 87%. This is a slight improvement over the prior years. The local real estate market may be slowing down its rate of increase. Town clerk, Diane will be out on medical leave starting Friday, expected to be out until Early March, Monique is now the deputy clerk, Diane promoted her, she'll be taking over her duties until she returns, and Billy will be stepping up, so thank you both. And Diane, good luck. Diane reports there's been an increase in vital records and on-site marriages. Word has gotten out, people are traveling to South Berwick to have their marriages performed. So the other day, I had my little name tag on, because we had a meeting, and, came in the hallway, and there was some people in the hallway, and ironically, they were waiting to be married. And, so I said, oh, hi, how you doing here? Can I help you? They were standing there. They said, no, we're waiting for town clerk, we're getting ready to get married. And I said, oh, okay, nice, great, great. So I talked to them and stuff, and they said, oh, you're the town manager. I said, yeah, that's my little name tag tells me, yeah, yeah. And they said, well, we just want to tell you, we live in Biddeford. We came down here to get married, and they said, because we could never do this in a Biddeford town hall. And when you go into Biddeford town hall, it's like a prison, you can't get in, talk to anybody, it's hard to meet anyone, when you do, they just want to get rid of you. And they said, this is the most welcoming town hall they've ever been in, and they said, we came down here to get married, so kudos, Diane. And kudos to the rest of the staff, and that's what we want to hear. You know, we have our moments, don't get me wrong, yeah, our moments. Let's see. Finance, HR, and benefits, Jenna's out sick, she's home sick tonight with a cold that she gave to me. So she had 5 business meetings, 35 staff meetings. She's been working diligently on budget preparation and meetings, so it started with the administration this week with the staff. We're moving the planning office to the 3rd floor, because Kyle, if you go look at his office, it looks like he's in there, but it looks like a mouse and a mole thing, all you can see is paper mound moving, because you can't see him. So he needs more space in bigger areas, to meet. And code is getting busier, so there's influx of too many people in that office, so we're gonna put him in this open space up here for time being till we renovate it. I've had 9 business meetings, 46 staff meetings. We delivered Christmas presents, cups and pens to the staff. The employee annual reviews are almost done, we're about 95% complete. Met with York Ambulance and meeting in reference with operational concerns. Had several meetings with Wind Waste in reference to the hauling contract, and we'll be meeting, the first Wednesday in February. They'll be coming out to do a site assessment of our transfer station and hopefully get us some finalized numbers that I can get you to approve. Met with, obviously, the attorney, several calls, I'll brief you on that in executive session. Met with the baseball in reference to baseball, they wanna put up a batting pavilion at the ball field. So it's 70 by 100 feet long. It's a inside building, it's not a building, it's an open, it's got net, but it's got a roof on it, it's got like a batting cage. But because it's a permanent structure, there's a policy that they have to follow the same steps, because it's gonna be a permanent structure to us. So they came and met with me, and I, after referring to legal counsel, I walked them through the process of how it's gonna work, and so we're not paying anything for it, they're gonna put it up, they're gonna use it, they're gonna, you know, it'll be open to the public after they're done with it, but.
Is there gonna be any meetings with the butters for that going in?
So,
I had,
Councilor James, funny you should ask that.
Thank you.
Question was asked of me earlier. So to give the council the perspective, they have to, how this works is the first thing they have to do is they have to identify the project, just like they would for the planning board. Send it to myself and Jay. Myself, Jay have to approve it. I'll send it to you for approval. You will that's one of your meetings, you will have to approve this or deny this. If you approve it, it then goes back to them. They have to go to the planning board like every other business, company, plan, and do major site plan review, because it's a permanent structure and there's no exemption in the code for little leagues, towns, you know. So when we get ready to do our renovation here, our renovation will end up in front of the planning board. Because even though we have full rules, we still gotta follow rules. So they still gotta follow rules. So we'll be going to major site plan review to the planning board, where at some point they will have to have a public hearing on that.
thank you, that will address a lot of concerns.
Yes. So that was there, and then, I had a contract meeting today with Eagle Maine. in reference to getting their contract, they drafted that, and they're sending it over to us. A couple questions that have come up with the other towns, but I don't think it's a concern for us. We can quit that contract, and he said it's for 30 years, your mortgage is for 30 years. He said the contract assumably for the mortgage is for 30 years, but you can quit anytime you want. He said, if you decide you don't wanna do this anymore, quit. He said, however, if you wanna stay till the end, you can do that. We broke it up over 30 years. And if you wanna pay that 30-year mortgage payment off of, I think it's 15,000 a year. If for some reason we decided we wanna pay a lump sum payment, he said you can pay that off early. He said, but we arrange it so you have a seat on the EcoMaine board from the day you sign the contract to start. So, the only difference that's going to change, right now, when you go to the transfer station, we have a bin for cardboard. We have the compactor for plastic. We put the aluminum cans in one bin, we put paper in another bin. The glass goes under the hole and then gets picked up and dumped and taken to Northern Maine, it doesn't get recycled, it just gets dumped into the landfill. EcoMaine, when we sign that contract on July 1st, we will be going to single sort recycling. So what that means is where the cardboard dumpster is now, not dumpster, I shouldn't say dumpster, cardboard compactor. The cardboard compactor, everything recyclable will go in there because it's truly going to be recycled. Glass, aluminum cans, mixed paper, cardboard, all goes in that container. It all goes, when that's full, when we'll pick it up, then they EcoMaine source it. And they said, you're the only town left out of the 13 towns that we did the contract, doing it that way, everybody else is single source. So you gotta come on board in order to follow that, which it makes more sense, because then we only have to, the only thing left for us to do, so MSW will be compacted, sent to EcoMaine, single source recycling, go up there. The only thing we'll have left is the household debris, clean wood and metal, and that's it. Metal will go to, Berwick Metal, and Wynn's gonna take the construction, and that's it. So it's time for us to consolidate our services, so that was kind of where we ended up with that. And the last piece is the contract for the town hall. I've been working between the attorneys, and Tyler, going back and forth, so we have come to the final resolve, I think, with the final draft. We have a meeting tomorrow at 3:30 between Phil Saucer, our legal counsel, their legal counsel, Tyler, to get the final draft of the contract ironed out. And then my thought was to then have Tyler come to the January 28th meeting to present that to you, answer any questions, explain the process, and have you vote on it. My question to the council is how much detailed information of those, I have, I think 4 or 5 drafts of different contracts going back and forth. Starting from the original that I sent to Phil, with all the changes, how much of that stuff do you want? Do you just want the final copy?
Personally, I'm good with the final copy. I don't need to know how you got there.
Okay, so there's like 78 items of, stuff we negotiated on, worked on, changed. Very little that I had to do with most of these stuff Phil recommended. Kyle's had this, that, and that's what we're gonna iron out the last 11 items. So I just looking, what do you want for information, just for the final draft, is that good?
I mean, speaking for myself, I think, and John agrees, the final draft is good with me. I think if there were, it sounds like there were a lot of kind of little piddly changes, but maybe just a high level summary of the substantive changes, kind of over what were some of the bigger items that you guys worked through, but if the little piddly things, I don't.
So the ones we're down to, essentially, the 8 or 10 we're down to, basically, it's things about, discussions on liabilities, changes, if we have disagreements on arbitration, it's legal jumbo stuff, which is why I've got Phil involved in their attorney, and dollar amounts on set things, and time limits on 24 months and stuff like that, so that's really what we're down to, and I just wanna get that closed, but I will have Tyler go over that, because the one he sent us was a very generic, it was just covers all this stuff. And had different towns, recommendations and stuff, and so Phil narrowed it down for us. So I'll get that final draft when Tyler comes, I'll have him go over all that,
Okay.
kind of like an overview of how we got here. And the changes made, why, then I'll have the specifics as to what Phil wanted, if you have any questions, we'll follow.
Okay, so the plan is our next meeting 2 weeks from now, Tyler will come present to us, give us kind of an overview. And then that evening we'll vote on the contract? Okay,
Well, it's up to you, you can have that presentation, and I'll give you that option.
Mhm.
I'll give you that option to step back and review it, or you can, it depends on how soon I think I get it out. I'm hoping that after tomorrow, I get it the first next week. And if I get that, then I can give it to you, and I think that's 2 weeks is a good time to review that, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, then just, you don't have to vote on it that night. I just want Tyler to get here and present, so we can move the process along. If you feel comfortable that night, you can make a motion, if not, you can make a motion to come back.
okay, so it sounds like we'll potentially get the draft contract at least from you in the next week-ish. Assuming that the meeting goes well tomorrow, so we'll be able to have eyes on it ahead of, like, I just don't want us to be in a situation where like we're looking at the contract for like the first time on Tuesday and we have to vote on it.
No, that wouldn't be, no, I'm trying to get it to you, and that's why we haven't done it yet, because I haven't been able to get stuff.
Yeah.
Done and for you to a timely manner yet. I don't wanna I wouldn't do that to you, I wouldn't put the contract in front of you on, on Friday and say vote on it on Tuesday, that's, there's too much. And that's why I'm having Tyler come, because some of that stuff is stuff that Phil is thinking this, and Tyler's thinking that, but Tyler's saying, well, this is the new standards in that field, so it's just time, so forth, so. That's
Okay,
all I
so-
have, my updates.
Great. Does that work for everybody with the contract review? Okay. All right. Okay, that's town manager's report, councilor member comments. Bill, got anything?
Just kudos to the Public Works for getting that bridge repair done expeditiously, and then also a huge shout out and appreciation to the rec department, the fire department for the ice rink. They're all time, all hours of the day, and I was there on Sunday, there's probably 20-25 people out there skating, so appreciate them for that.
Thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Melissa?
I just wanted to remind everybody that on January 3rd, from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, there is a meet and greet at the community center with the USS Washington Blackfish.
January 23rd.
What did I say?
Third.
Oh, 23rd, sorry, you missed it. No. But they are asking that you RSVP by the 17th, which is 3 days away. Because there will be finger foods provided by the BFW, so please come, it's gonna be a great relationship, with this group, so.
And I just wanna say Happy New Year, and I feel weird talking about this because we're already 2 weeks into 2025, but, I was able to join Tim and the rest of, many other town staff, right before the holidays, with Tim mentioned it in his town manager's report about, kind of delivering a little gift to the staff, and, someone I know dressed up as Santa Claus, and it was just really nice and really, I just thought it was really special and kind of silly, but fun and heartwarming, and I felt very Grinchy this year, and it kind of helped me feel less Grinchy, so, that's all I have. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I'll make a motion for us to go into executive session to the subject 4056A, personnel. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, I have a motion and a second, all those in favor, Bill,
Aye.
John? Melissa? Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you, everyone.
Mike, you got the financial thing for them to sign?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.